What is going on? Welcome to Ruu S Room. I am Ruu, aka the Culture Black Kid. This is where we get into the nitty-gritty of the artists and creatives around the scene. And today, we got my guy Chazza. You know, originally from North London, artist, content creator, who's been posted up down under for the past few years. Right? How long would it be?
So is in actually living here?
Actually living here?
Actually living here, year and a half.
Year and a half. Okay, so you know, a few years was a bit stretching, but
Yeah.
I thought I'd ballpark it.
But you know what? For story purposes, we'll go.
We'll just go with a few years. You may know him from many reactions to the Aussie and UK scene, especially within the grime and drill genres. But you know, that's not limiting you. You know, you talk about a lot of other stuff and appreciate a whole bunch of other subgenres in hip-hop, and in my personal opinion, truly one of the goats of this modern era of broadcasting in the hip-hop space, especially here. Man, how you doing? And like, for real, how are you doing?
You don't know what, so you ask someone, you're like, yo, how are you? No. How are you? Not that I'm fine or I can't complain. I am. At this point, it changes so much. So at the current point of filming, we are literally like a day before I have to leave the country. Yeah. So it's been a whole whirlwind of things happening. And I had a really important conversation with Ricky, who's 1-4's manager, only yesterday. And it was a really healthy conversation because it almost, me just saying it out loud made me realize a couple of things. But ultimately, I'm grateful. Despite the whole whirlwind of everything that's happened over the last few months and everything, like, ultimately grateful, man. Yeah. You know, through ups and downs, you kind of tell yourself, like, yo, have I failed at this? Or have I not achieved everything I wanted to? And then you flip that on its head and you go, this is what you've achieved, you know? Yeah. Like, even through all that adversity, even through all the things that may have not gone your way, you've still managed to do this, that, the other, like, you know what I mean? And so, ultimately grateful. So for sure. Stressed but grateful.
Of course, yeah. Obviously, you know, the impact that, you know, your platform has had on a lot of the artists. You know, when me and you first started talking, when I ran into you, and then you came here and we sat for like half an hour. I feel like you've had a big impact, and you know, again, when I said that, you know, you're one of, you know, someone who I look up to, even, you know, starting early in this and my journey. It's cool that, you know, you can look back, reflect, and be like, like, have I done enough? Yeah. And, you know, obviously, you know, there's still so much time, so much to go. And, you know, it's not saying that because you're going back that, you know, at some point you might come back, but you've hit that point where it's like, I'm content with how much I've done. For the time being, it's great. I've impacted a whole bunch of lives. I've met a whole bunch of amazing connects, you know, had a few moments that can look back and be like, okay, that wasn't the best moment, you know, but I'll cherish it because, you know, it's the journey, it's the ups and downs. But before we get into like my proper questions that I've set up, what led you to coming here? So you know, you started doing your reviews like 5-6 years ago, at least that's
5 years ago, 5.5.
And you know, obviously you were back in the UK when you were doing that, and you were reviewing, I guess, a lot more of the UK artists and the local scene there. But I saw a couple of videos here and there. Chilling it here, and I'm not sure if I saw a Nerve there. You know, here and there. So then, what led you to then come down here?
So I've talked about the story of how I started the reactions and everything. So just glaze over it very briefly. Started with UK.
Check that out if you,
Started with UK reactions 2017. Did that for about 5-6 months. Around April, May 2018 is when I started getting really into the Aussie scene. Started gaining the following. So over the years, obviously kept up with everything. That's why it may feel like I've been here in Australia longer, because you know I've been a part of some people's stories and whatnot. So that's why it feels like I've been part of the furniture for maybe longer than I actually have, you know. Done that, and I wanted to come about 2019. I wanted to come over here kind of as a holiday, to just network and just meet people for the first time and just soak it in person, you know. You talk to these people on the internet, and you're even doing interviews with people and running a podcast, and then it's like, yo, I want to be able to just go, how are you, my guy? You know what I mean? You just want to share that in person with people. So wanted to come 2019, kind of didn't have enough money. I'll go next year. 2020, pandemic, so can't. 2021, same thing. So 2022 rolled round, and I'm like, I am dying to go out there and kind of soak it all in. And while I was on the plane, I pretty much was thinking about it all. And by the time I landed, I kind of decided, you know what, I'm here for a holiday, but I think I'm going to stay here. I think I'm going to try and make it work. So after, you know, through those few weeks ago, am I really going to do this? Am I really going to do this? Ended up just staying out here. And the ultimate thing is opportunity. You know, as much as London in a lot of ways, especially the music scene there, has a lot more going on there. For me and my personal situation, which is quite unique in terms of what we do, I just felt like I had more to make of myself here, and that's why I wanted to come over and give that a good shot.
Dope. Yeah, it's interesting that transition from you know, taking off to coming down and being like, you know what, fuck it. I'm here. Let's make the most of it. And you know, year and a half later, you know, here we are. Okay. Cliche intro story out the way.
You have to set the tone a little bit. We have to speed through it a little bit. Yeah, I hear it, man.
Out the way. What I plan to do through this show is to try and actually get into some more in-depth stuff rather than again so tell me about your latest tell me about how you got into this.
Which there's a space for that, but you're trying to attack it from a more personal space. It makes sense.
Exactly. So to kick that off, my first question to you is, what percentage of yourself do you think your circle really knows about you?
I'm saying a good 80%. I'm saying a good 80-90%. I'd say it's a very open and very honest kind of relationship. And that's how I'd always want it to be. I know amongst my friends, I gain a reputation for Chaz, tell me as it is. Tell me what you really think, because I know you're not going to lie to me. And I encourage those kind of uncomfortable conversations at times, because it's like, I would expect the same from you. If I have a bit of food on my chin, I expect you to tell me. Don't feel bad, tell me. If I stink, tell me. Like, and that's how I kind of see it. So I'm not a very, I still am a person who doesn't want to upset people, but I also prefer to upset you in the short term to know that I can be honest with you long term. And I guess that's me. So in terms of my friendships and the people closest to me, I like to keep it as raw and as authentic as possible. And we've called out things where it's like, nah, you're not being yourself, or nah, don't lie to me. And I think that's good. I think that's ultimately created a stronger bond, because there's no room for that kind of within my immediate circle anyway. So something I value.
Okay. And is that other 20% just stuff that you want to keep for yourself, or just stuff?
Yeah, man, listen, in life, right? Sometimes you draw people who are out of your league, okay? You might be reaching for 8s and 9s. For me, as a guy who's a 5.5 out of 10, all right, me going for a 9 is big news, brother. There has been 1 or 2 3 out of 10s in my lifetime, and I can't discuss that with people. That's something that you've got to keep to yourself, cause I can't share everything, you know, like. You know what I mean? Like there's certain things. It's like, you know, I've got to hold something to myself. You know, so like I you know, there may be other things, but you know, that's the teaser. That's the teaser for the sequel that we might talk about one day. That's why we say 80 to 90%. That's what we talk about.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And the follow up to that question is, how much of that percentage do you think you've shared in, I guess, both your music, but also like your content?
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So I'd say when you've heard my most recent body of music, I would say you're mostly up to date. So let's say out of that 80% and a further 80%, let's say, all right? At this point, I'm in a space where I probably want to go work on an album at this point, because I have a lot to say, because I haven't really made much music whilst being here, ironically, you know, especially not personal stuff. I've done plenty of features and things that may come out, things that may not. But in terms of me and a solo body of work, an album or even a lengthy EP, it's probably going to be in an album knowing me, but that's where you want to talk about it more. And I think that's important, to wait until you've got something to say. One of my biggest issues with the current space in hip hop at the moment, and this isn't just Australia, this is across the world, is a lack of storytelling, a lack of building rapport with an artist, especially newer artists. You know, it's like, okay, you've exploded onto the scene, now who are you? You know, and obviously there's certain types of artists that will share more than others, and some that will get more intimate than others, but even just little insights, man, I think they're important. So for me, that's the thing that I value in terms of music, so it's like, yeah, we got to put that in. Because reactions, it's not about me, it's about the artist.
Yeah.
Interviews, it's not about me, it's about the artist or about the person that I'm talking with. So music is my time to talk about me. It's my time to be selfish almost.
For sure.
So, yeah.
So do you think you have a percentage for, you know, your personality, your YouTube personality that you show? Because the reason why I follow up on that specific, because the music part makes sense. Yeah. Like, you know, obviously it's your art, it's, you know, you telling your story, etc. And I totally agree what you said about artists opening up globally. But when it comes to your personality, because, you know, people only see the screen, and this is something that, you know, I'm obviously learning as this year, and I slowly keep building my clout, is that they just see you. And they just hear your opinion, and then they think, oh, because of that, oh, he must be a mean motherfucker. You know, he's just there to tear down people. And, you know, it's just like, nah, like, I just genuinely care about this shit. Hence why I'm being real. So, based on that, do you think you have a percentage about yourself, or is it hard to equate that?
It's probably hard to equate, because it's almost like, are you a cool person to be around? Well, I can't answer that. That's down to you. It's down to what your preferences are and what you're like as a person. And there are some people in this world that they're good people, but maybe we don't click, you know? So it's not that you're a bad person. And I click with certain people who I know that aren't good influences, that maybe not be the best people, but I click with them. So then you've got that side. So in terms of what percentage would I really show, I don't know. Maybe that's for other people to interpret how much they receive. But I will say, one common thing that I've heard over the last year since being here is, oh, I thought you were a dick. Like, I thought you were just an arsehole. You're actually all right. And it's like, I'd hope so. I'm trying not to be a dick or an arsehole. It's like, you know, I guess I come across as that, especially when I critique music. And if I haven't said this is album of the year or top 10 songs that I've heard, I get how some people are getting upset. And and it's like, if you understand me, I will criticize the most when I care for you the most. It's like the harshest kind of love. It's like, if I don't care about you, I won't review your music. That's the truth. If I'm reviewing your music on a regular basis, I have a certain level of care and or respect for you. You know? It's like, so for me to go this in depth about your situation from a fan's perspective, because again, I don't know you personally either, you know? Your situation, your music, your recent music, what I expect from you in the future, selfishly, what the sonics are, the producers you work with, the video, and the timing of it all. You know, you factor in all these other things, and you try to give the best picture that you can, and give your opinion. And I think some people may feel like, well, you don't know me. Who are you to comment on things? And it's like, vice versa. Who are you to say that I'm this, that, and you know, I get it. As someone who makes music yourself, you get it. You're very sensitive about your own music and your own art. So for someone else, especially a pommy guy who never grew up here, to come along and be like, yo, who are you to be talking? I get it. I understand how it upsets people, but I would just implore, is that a word? I'd implore, I would encourage you to always understand that I say it from a place of care about music and a love for, and respect for you as an artist. It's not, but that doesn't always show in reactions, because, you know,
it's a screen.
It's a screen. There's only so much you can give. That's why I've always enjoyed doing other things, because then I can be selfish a bit more.
I feel you. Yeah, I was just curious to see. But all right. So let's get into the main part of this. We're gonna take it back to, well, I don't know how you guys did it in the UK when you were in primary school. We're gonna do a little show and tell.
We had show and tell. We had show and tell.
So I have 5 questions. Hopefully you have brought some things that fit these questions. If not, then hopefully at least a dope story. And we're gonna see what Chazza has brought to go with these questions. So, all right, let's kick it off. My first one: what is something that represents who you are as a person?
Right, can't lie, this is the most difficult. This was the most, when you sent this to me, I was like, what represents me? I would say, for me, it would be a room like this. It would be a studio space. It would be a desk. It would be a computer. It would be, because for me, I'm a bit of a nerd. I am a bit of a nerd. Like, so back home, my setup that you would see for the videos, or, you know, where the camera will be just placed above, you know, that was me. If anyone watched my videos from over a year ago, my setup where I had all my canvases on my wall, all the album artworks, that's something that represents me, because ultimately it is music.
Yeah.
Ultimately it is. As cheesy as it sounds, it is music.
Yeah.
But then also that whole desk space, it was like, that was my gaming setup as well. That was also where I did video call and talk to people from Australia. So that was also like a socializing kind of space in a really weird way. It was also the place where I've written all my music. It was also the place where I edited everything. It was the place where I literally ate. 2 meters from there is where I slept. Like that setup, if I could almost bring that, if I, again, you're talking to the guy that's abroad right now, so unfortunately I don't have much, but if I could bring anything, it would have been one of those canvases with the album artworks.
Yeah.
I guess that safe space of where I created so much, you know? And so I guess the nearest next thing would be a studio space, because that's where you create the music, that's where you've, you know, worked on so many things. So I guess there's something intimate about a space that is yours. So whether that's yours here or, you know, mine that's not far from round the corner from here or whatnot, like, I'd say a space that's mine where I can just work on things, that's something that represents me. That's like my safe space to be myself. Yeah. Should you say? As cliche as it sounds, but that's the truth behind it. Yeah.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
I forgot to ask this question earlier in my intro stuff. This is the first one we're doing live, so like in person. You know, forgive the missing extra question. One of the initial questions I asked is, you know, choose a spot you want to shoot that's sentimental to you, and I'm curious why you chose this space. Yeah.
So, good friend of mine, Nadine.
Yep.
She used to work out of this studio.
Yes.
Next door. Yeah, next door. So, it's sentimental to me because I spent many evenings and daytimes here in this studio space in general, and it's where I met some amazing people, such as Jana, you know, or Nicholas Mendoza. Like, you meet some amazing people. And I guess it's sentimental to me because as much as I know so many people in this industry, and I'm so grateful for that, from artists to videographers to managers, producers, whatever it may be, it's like, didn't have any real friends because you haven't been here, you know? And I'll have to say Nadine was the first person to really be like, nah, I'm going to be a friend first and foremost, you know? And so, there would be days where I'm just twiddling my thumbs like, oh, don't know what to do. Like, I can't really go. And she'd be like, come over to the studio, I'm working on something. Or come over, we'll just have some food or whatever. And it was like nice to be able to go, rah, I've got a genuine friend. And so I guess sentimental from the standpoint of like, there were some fun times here, you know, and whether there be other people here or whatnot. Like, I even spent New Year's at this studio, you know? So, you know, and I have memories from that. So, you know, I guess sentimental because it was one of the first safe spaces to be in this country because everything is new and foreign to me. Even where I live, it's like, you know, I've only just moved into there. So you're still getting used to that space. Whereas here, it's like, okay, cool. You know, when you walk in this space, it's a cool space. You know?
Yeah, I feel that, and you know, I've always loved this space since I first came here. I interviewed Jana for my podcast a couple years ago when she put out her EP. But yeah, I totally resonate with the whole friendship within the industry thing. Like, I got text behind the camera right now. Me met like a year ago. And, you know, it started off with, you know, me being introduced through my podcast hosts to Tech and Utter. And then from there, like a couple weeks later, I was like, yo, Tech, what you up to? And he's like, you're nothing, but, you know, I'm busy this night, but come through the next night. Bring your girl, we'll have like dinner. And from there, he invited me to New Year's. And then, you know, the friendship started first. You know, obviously we knew that we did music and I knew he did videos and I did whatever and I did the podcast, but it was a genuine friendship first,
outside
and it
of
started
anything that's business related or music related.
Exactly, and that's what set it up. So like that with like Nadine being like, "Yo, come through, let's just kick it." Obviously, I'm doing stuff, but at the same time, we can chop it up. That, you know, we can shoot the shit. There's a chessboard in here. So, I like that, and it's something that is always seldom missed, I guess, in the scene as well, where it's like you go to these industry things and it's like there's a big difference between an industry friend and a 100%. Genuine friend.
And you know, we have so much love for these people. Of course. And this is another thing that may be a misconception about people like us, where you go to an event and you're dapping up everyone. Because you're unbiased. you try to be good with everyone, you know? And so you meet all these people and it's like, okay, if I haven't even spoken to you yet, you know who I am and I know who you are, you know? And so that's a weird feeling for me, because when I first get here and I may be at a G'd up party and I walk in and it's like, okay, I've met you, you and you, how are you? I know who you and you are, it's my first time meeting you. And then there's all of these people that are going, who's this Pommy kid walking around dapping up everyone? And it, you know, and then you just meet so many people and it's all good vibes. But you go home and you ain't gonna speak to most of them people. 99% of them people, you're not speaking to until you next bump into them at another event. And it doesn't mean that you dislike them, it doesn't mean you have anything against them. But you can't be best friends with everyone. And there has to be a boundary between industry friends and connections and your closest people. Like, and that's, it's quite a big jump between an acquaintance and someone who's very close. I'm not very good at doing the in-between. I'm good at being okay with everyone or keeping up with you. I can't do the in-between very well. And so, yeah, I guess it is very important to have your closest people around you. And I just encourage anyone to also not let that get in the way, though, of you socializing at these other events and networking and at least being open to just talking to new people. It's like, I know you've got your boys, or I know you've got your girls, or I know you've got your peoples, but yo, like, you know, I feel there has to be a balance in some ways.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. All right, number 2. What is the last sentimental gift you received from someone?
You know what? It's mad because I don't like receiving gifts. Like Chris, I'm the worst. I'm the worst person to buy for, because I'll just turn around and go, if I want it, I'll buy it myself. Don't buy me nothing. So people go, well, I'm going to buy you something. I'm like, don't buy me nothing. Don't. So that's another, I'd say the last sentimental gift I received would probably be Classic, DJ Classic, who DJs on KATA, does a whole bunch of other things. He rolled through to do a video with me not that long ago, and he was just like, yo, cuz, bought you some things. I'm like, oh, you didn't have to buy me anything. And he's just like, nah, it's just something like, and it was a couple of t-shirts like from one of his boys, like brand or whatever, come with a little bag and everything. And I guess sentimental because it's just like, oh, cuz, I appreciate that. You didn't have to do that, you know? Do those items have sentimental value yet? No. This is literally like 2 weeks ago. But I might take that back home with me, or I'll keep it here, or whatever side of the world I'll be on. But it'll be like, where did you get that from? Oh, someone gifted that to me. And I will say there is something nice about that as opposed to buying it yourself, because then there's a story attached, or there's a time frame. So I can now, I can pinpoint the exact time, location, everything of when I received that gift. That's why I would call it sentimental. Or that might not be old enough to be sentimental yet, I'd say down the line. And that might be other things as well that I've been gifted by people, you know, normally items of clothing or whatnot, but it's like, yo, I got that from this person at this event, or, you know, and I'd say when there's a story behind it, I guess that creates some sort of sentiment, you know, I guess, yeah, that's what I'm going to go with.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, number 3. What is the first most important piece of equipment you ever bought or received? Right,
so I'm going to have 2 answers here. The first one really was an Elgato HD60 game capture.
Okay.
And I linked this shit up to my Xbox 360.
Okay.
It's basically so you can just capture footage of whatever game you're playing. So when I started out YouTube in 2015, it was gaming content. So game capture, you know. So I'd say that was the thing that I bought off of my friend. He bought it just because he was just messing around, whatever. He made like 2-3 YouTube videos at that point. And I was like, cuz I want to do YouTube. And at this time, I'm pointing my camera at the TV. Like I've literally got like a box, another box, a shoe box, and then like a little ornament thing, and then my phone leaning against it, pointing out towards the TV. That's how I'm recording my earliest videos that you'll never see, you know? Hey guys, welcome back to today's video. You know, that was me, you know, like 16 years old doing that. So that was the first important piece of tech that I needed to really go from, to feel like a legitimate YouTuber, as you'd call it, you know. But one thing that I do have with me, yes, I bring one thing. There's one thing I can bring. Yeah, I did the homework. Don't worry. I know I'm on the other side of the world, but I can. So this is a Sony camcorder. I don't know the exact name. It says it can shoot 4K on it. I don't know if this thing could ever shoot 4K. I could not tell you for the life of me. All right. But at this point, I don't know what cameras are what. Like I don't even know what a DSLR is at this point. So when I'm going, you know what? I need to upgrade from the webcam. I need to upgrade from the webcam, like my little £15. Yeah. I'm like, right, what do I do? Amazon, video cameras. All right, is this the #1 recommended? Sweet, we're running with it. And that was it. Like I bought this back in, probably 2015 then. And this is the camera that I used up until I got here.
Wow.
Like, even when I first got here, I was still using this video cam. And there was like a little thing at the side where I could link it to that Elgato game capture. You can like link it all up basically. So instead of me recording on the camera, I can press record on the computer or the PC or the laptop, and it feeds the video signal straight through. And I did that so I could use this camera for live streams. I could use it for anything, you know? So I say between that Elgato game capture and this camcorder, this carried me through 7 years of YouTube, you know? Now into year 8, I haven't used it, but for 7 years, them two pieces of equipment were the only two consistents. Everything else changed. Microphones changed, the PC upgraded, lighting changed, the backdrop, the desk even changed. Yeah. But the one thing that stayed the same was the camera and the Elgato. So I'd say that's probably the most important piece that I ever bought. Okay. As not great as it is, it carried me through, man. It carried me. Hey, it says it can shoot 4K, all right? Maybe at a bit rate of 4, but it could shoot 4K. So yeah, man. That's gonna be my answer for that one there.
All right. #4. What's an object from or that represents one of your favorite gigs or sessions, maybe even videos that you've ever done?
Yeah, so it would be a video of me on stage at a show with Mitch Ostermenis and Flows De Leone. And they were doing like a joint tour around the country, and they performed at the Waywoods in Newtown. And I was hosting the show. And the reason that was big for me is I was in the country a couple of months at this point. And this is not long off the back of the collaboration track I have with Flows called Adult. And he was like, cuz, we'll perform it on the night. And for me, the reason that's so important to me is because that was the first time I got to perform one of my tracks with the Aussie artist. Because I have a couple of collabs with Frax, Scotty Minster, Greasy, Rhiannon Renee, like so many amazing people. Forgive me if I've forgotten any others off the top of my head, but the Flows one was the big one. You know, for a lot of people, that was their introduction to me even doing music. They were like, "Oh, Chaz raps." It's like, yeah, I've been promoting my music at the start of my videos for like the last 4 years, but you know, I rap, And so anyway, that was big because the event was going really well, and they're halfway through their set, and they're just like, "All right, it's time," and I'm like, cool. And I don't really get nervous before performing, so I'm stepping out really casually, and I've been hosting the whole night, so it's quite easy. Like, there ain't gonna be an easier time to perform. You've been warmed into everything, and so the song starts, and everyone just roars really loud, even though I've been on the stage the whole night. And it was like, okay. And Flows is the one who opens up with a track, and he does his 16, and then it drops to me. And cuz, people are singing back the lyrics. Well, what do you mean people are singing back the lyrics? Like, I'm used to doing open mics in London where I bring a few of my friends or whatnot, 5, 10 people maybe, in a venue full of 200. So there's, let's say, 190 people that don't know who I am, that I've got to now impress. And so for me to now step out and even half the crowd are singing the lyrics back to me, cuz, that's a crazy feeling. The euphoria that you feel is crazy. And I'm even like, am I brave enough to, dude, all right, let's spit the bar and leave the end of the bar for the crowd. And they're spitting it. I'm like, oh, that actually works. And I get into the infamous, fuck a squid game, I'll eat it like it's calamari. Cuz, and the whole place screams it. And I'm like, what? And I don't know if you can ever tell by my face, because I might just be locked into a zone, but I'm trying my best to take that moment in while it's happening. You have so many conversations of, you know, especially in our world, where we're always thinking about the next thing. And when you're at a show, all right, what song's next? I've got to stand here, I've got to be aware that I've got to hold the mic this way, and da-da-da-da. And that was the first time I just forgot about all of that and was like, yo, you're in Australia right now.
Yeah.
A kid from North London is in Australia, and even 150 people are singing his lyrics.
Yeah.
It was one of those like time just stopped and you just
Yeah.
wanted to like sit in that moment just for like 30 seconds and be like,
Yeah.
yo.
Yeah.
If I could like keep like the wristband or whatever I had that day, like I would.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have that. Maybe I've shoved it in a drawer somewhere or something.
Somewhere.
Yeah, but that day was, yeah, that was one of them gigs and performances where it's just like, okay, that really meant something. And there's so many others I could pick, but I'd say that's one that, yeah, would really stand out for me.
Yeah, dope.
Dope. And how'd the flows connect?
Well, when I was doing my On a Level show season 1, so I was back home doing it over a video call. He was on that first season, and halfway through the interview with him, we're going through some of his music. He has a lyric on, I think it's Price of Life, and it's like a 6-pack couldn't save you from a knife to the ribs. And I was just like, that inspired me. Actually, I have a similar lyric, and I didn't realize it was similar until afterwards. And he was like, what was the bar? What was the bar? And I was like, I think it's on this song. And I played him the song from my album that just dropped, Chapters.
Yeah.
And he's like, cuz, I never knew you rapped. The classic line that everyone loves saying.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, cuz, you're actually really cold. Like, I'll like, let's do a track one day.
Yeah.
Well, I get a lot of people saying that. So I'm thinking, you're saying that to be polite. Like, I appreciate that, bro.
Yeah.
Anyway, we continue the rest of the interview. We cut that bit out. We do the rest of the interview. And then the next day, he's like, so cuz, come on, send me some instrumentals then. And I'm like, you're being dead set? All right. Sent him one and he goes, no, I'm not feeling that one. Sent him a second and he went, that's the one. And from there we went and he was like, what was the subject matter? We talked back and forth. A week later he had he had his 2 verses sent to me. And then I was like, this is sick, bro. Recorded mine. And then he goes, let's do a video clip. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, cuz it'll do better numbers if you do a video clip. Like, don't just throw it on the project for it to be forgotten about. So we went and filmed our bit separately. He went and recorded his bit. And next minute I have this video and I'm like, yo, we actually did it from opposite sides of the world. And it's actually pretty cohesive, like, you know, because that's a big barrier, you know, not being in the same studio at the same time. And we managed to make it as cohesive as we possibly could. And I was stoked with it. And then dropping it, I'm thinking, okay, it's going to do well because it's flows. But it did way better than I even thought, you know. And, you know, that's to this day is my biggest single that I've ever dropped. So yeah, man, chuffed with it.
Dope. Shout out to Flows.
Big shout out to Flows De Leone.
And number 5.
What is something that represents your dreams, aspirations within your field?
Whatever answer I give you now would be probably different by the time this comes out. And especially at this point, because I'm currently figuring out what that is. So for a while, it was to be the biggest media personality within this scene. I wouldn't say I've succeeded at being the biggest, but being one of them, I will confidently say, yeah, I'm a part of that. And I feel so blessed that I've even made it that far, you know? If you specifically want to go down the lanes of only Australian hip-hop reactions, one of the most niche things in the world, especially being from London, then yeah, sure. But that was it at one point. Then it was release a classic album. Doesn't matter how many streams it gets, something that you will listen to in 20 years' time and still go, that holds up to today. I can't answer that until 20 years' time.
Of course.
My last album, Chapters, still holds up very well for me. And that's 2 years old at this point. That holds up well. So that's going to be an ongoing goal and aspiration. Any body of music that I can go, I'm proud to still listen to that. Because I have some music that I'm not so proud to listen to. Like, you know, I look back at it and I'm like, cuz, that's bad, you know? Bro, that's not it. And I think everyone has that. But that's one thing. Then now, recently, I've started the battle rap thing. So now it's like, how far do you want to take that? You want to just be the best in Oz? Or do you want to go take that back to the UK?
Yeah.
How far can you take that? How far do you want to take it?
Yeah.
And so there's already 3 different things. And then I go, right, but what if I can come up with this new series idea that creates more influences within this hip hop space? Because in the UK, we have like Chunks and Phillies and Sidemens and We don't really have that here. Okay, could I be a part of creating that? Okay, could I do this mad thing where I go around and get artists to show off their own areas which they grew up in and explore that and do like the interview in their area and get them to explore their area? Okay, that hasn't really been done. I want to do that. And then my brain starts going, you know? I'd say it consistently changes. And I think that's important. You know? in life it's been like that. I didn't know what I wanted to be growing up from school. As a kid, I wanted to be a mechanic, then an architect, then a footballer, then a rapper. Then I just wanted to be the strongest guy in the ends. Like, you know what I mean? I don't think that one's going to work for me. But, you know, you have all of these things that just change.
Yeah.
It's the same as fashion. Your fashion sense will change over the years. You'll look back at what you wore in your 20s and go, woo, I don't know, that might be questionable. I'm like, is this really that bad now? I don't know. I'm just wearing cargos and a little Dave t-shirt. Like, I don't know, is it that bad? Like, but that's, you know, I believe your goals always change. And I think it takes for you in life to figure out what you want at that point. Because what I want when I'm 10, I just want the newest North Face jacket and a brand new football, you know? And then when I'm 15, I want something different. And then in my 20s. And then when I'm 40, it's like, I just want the mortgage to be paid on time. I just want my kids to be fed. I just want the missus to be happy. Whatever it is. So my goals consistently change. And I feel like I'm at a point now, especially with knowing that I'm about to go back home, at a transition point where I need to go figure some things out. So that's a question I would love for you to ask me one day in the future and revisit. Because at this current point, whatever I say will change. And I know that will. So I think I'm at that point where I'm figuring out what that new goal or aspiration or aspirations will be.
Yeah, and that makes sense. And, you know, we'll timestamp this and, you know, be like, all right, when we return for part 2, we'll definitely bring this back up. But, yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with not having an answer to that question because, yeah, like myself, I know my dreams and goals. You know, I have solid, like, okay, I'm going to do this, but the path towards it changes or the minor goals within that goal changes or develops as it's going. So, yeah, that makes sense. And especially, you know, the time that I've caught you at, it's like, yeah, there's a big transition where it's like it's hard for me to answer that question right now. Like, so, no, that's fair. Like, I'm definitely not being like, nah, I need an answer.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, couple more questions to go. So, what is a personal moment that stands out to you that impacted your music or, you know, your content creation in a certain way?
What stood out and impacted me? You know what? Okay, yeah, I like this one. There's probably bigger moments, but I'd say this was a big lesson learned for me. I remember, so on my estate, you know, a whole mix of boys and whatnot, and this particular day I was out with the older boys. They're only like 2-3 years older, but when you're 12 and the guy's 15, that's a lot older, you know? And so I must have been about 12 or 13. So these boys are all 14, 15, 16, and we've gone over to a nearby field to go play football or whatever. And don't know how we got into it, but at one point I've got really leery and confident. And I'm like, yeah, I could beat you up. Keep in mind, I'm built the same way I am now. I was just shorter. Yeah, this is big talk coming from a schmedium legend at best. Yeah, this is not, you don't have the facilities for this. Yeah. So anyway, we get into this play fight, but I think we both get quite emotional quite quickly about it. And it turns into half of a real fight. And this kid's bigger and stronger than me. And he basically pins me down and he slaps me. And he goes, say you give up. And I'm like, no, I don't give up. And he slapped me again. I don't give up. And after getting slapped like 4 or 5 times, literally being helpless, not being able, I break down in tears. And I remember the eldest guy, Matthew being like, yo, I hate this. And he's like, and I'm like, yeah, because I'm like the younger one and it's not fair. And he went, no, that's what I hate about this. He goes, you want to be with the big boys, but then you want to play I'm the youngest card when it doesn't go your way. And he goes, in life, you can't pick and choose. You're either one of the big boys or you're a child. And he goes, and if you're a child, that's fine, but you can't pick the best of both worlds. Now, we're only like 10 minutes away from our estate where we live. And that walk back was silent. For me, it was silent. I'm in my own. But I did process that and go, okay, yeah, I've got to pick which one I am. And now I didn't want to be one of the boys, like the young boys. I wanted to be one of the men. I wanted to be one of the older guys. So from that day, it was like, okay, you don't get the best of both worlds. So I kind of took that more than I realized. Now I can consciously I can consciously accept when that's happening. But I think for a while I didn't realize that that did have a big effect on me. Things such as when I was 16, I started coaching. So now I'm teaching 11-year-olds at the age of 16. And it was like, okay, you've got a big boy job. Now take your responsibilities like a big boy then, you know? And, you know, there'd be some people be like, but you're only 16, they shouldn't be making you do that. Well, if I want a big boy wage, this is the big boy things I have to do. So I guess I carried that through life of, if you want to be the young teenager or whatever, that's fine. If you want to be that guy, fine. But if you want to be a man, should you say, okay, you got to take it like a grown man responsibility then. Don't start drawing for the, oh, but I'm younger than this person, or it's not fair because I've not done this before. It's like, no, in life, that's it. You choose. Choose which side of the coin you want to be on.
For sure.
So I'd say that's a moment that I learned a big lesson from. So that probably had a big impact on my life. Such a small moment. You know, these are like the lessons you learn growing up kind of thing.
How do you think that transition into, you know, how you approach your content and your music and stuff like that?
I'd say the same thing. Okay, so the best way I can transition that is if I throw wild opinions out online about other people's music, I'm not beyond that myself. Like, you can criticize my music. Of course, there's a big difference between fuck you, your shit, and yo, cause I'm not feeling this because the cadence or the timing or fine. Obviously, I massively appreciate people who can give me more of an insight. Of course. And if you don't like it, you don't like it. That's fine. Like, just because I like pizza doesn't mean you have to like pizza. You know what I mean? That's just life. You all have different tastes. It's what makes us who we are. And so I'd say I transition that over in terms of, I'm not beyond criticism myself kind of thing, you know? I'd say that's a parallel.
Yeah, no, and that makes sense. And, you know, I totally understand. I 100% understand that perspective as well. It's interesting in this, just not even in the scene, just period with people, is that a lot of people want to play victim and they don't want to take accountability for their actions. And, you know, it's so easy to just recognize, okay, even if, you know, maybe a couple things went and it wasn't my thing, I still maybe put them, whatever that situation is, so, you know, it still comes back to me, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But, you know, having that realization that, look, if I'm going to be this certain way, I need to, for real, like, switch up and not, you know, stop acting like I'm someone who I'm not. Yeah,
you know, and there's a lot of those instances that you find, you know. You get the rapper that talks about how much money they got, but they don't pay their videographers. Or you get the people who go, I don't care what anyone thinks. And then you cry online when someone doesn't like your music. And you know, there's so many that we can pick, and it's like, for me, you've got to have a certain level of consistency. Of course we can change our mind. Of course we're human and we're prone to feeling emotions, and I won't lie, in when some people have said to me, oh, Chaz, but you're not even, and I'm like, who the fuck are you to be talking about me like that? You know, I don't know why the Irish accent came out, but the McGregor in me was just wanting to talk some shit. But the point being is that I can feel that way sometimes, but I then have to control my emotions and go, no, they are entitled to think that way. And if I don't agree with that, that's fine. We are okay to disagree with each other, you know, like agree to disagree. That's okay to happen, you know, but not everyone does think like that. And I think I would be crazy to think that everyone has to think like me. That's big up to Rick, because that's one of the things we've spoken about. Not everyone's going to think the same way you do. So you just got to accept that other people are going to have opinions and have a certain thought process in a different manner to you. And maybe that's why they struggle to relate to you or struggle to understand you, because you think differently to them.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense. Well, that pretty much wraps us up. Like, thank you so much again for coming on, you know, especially taking this time out with you, you know, you leaving tomorrow. You know, if this video serves as something, I hope it serves at least as, you know, flowers for the time that you have been here so far, and we're hoping that, you know, you come back when you do. But, you know, I'm sure you're not going to be quiet on socials or YouTube anyway. It's not like this is the end. No. You still going to be doing your thing, just, you know, from over there. But, you know, it's been a pleasure to, you know you for the at least couple months that I have, even though we've still had only a couple interactions. But, you know, we got each other on socials. What is, I guess, coming up next? This is where I roll out the red carpet.
Yeah, the red carpet. Well, so that's the thing. It's a weird one for me because it could be anything, and that's exciting. But yeah, going back home. So we'll figure some things out. Basically, it's the most I can say because again, by tomorrow I might have figured this out, and then this video comes out, and you know, so it could be anything. It could be anything. But I just want to say, like, I appreciate you having me on your platform, but I also want to say, like, big ups to you because you're now getting into this space as well, and you're attacking it from a different angle that I have. You will cover artists that I don't even know about or didn't think to cover, or you know, and yeah, big ups to you because it's gonna take a lot out of you. It's gonna take a lot out of you, but you're someone that I respect in this space straight off the bat because it's like, okay, yes, someone who can articulate their thoughts. I know I'm not the only one, and I genuinely think that you can do that better than I can in terms of articulating thoughts and explaining your reasons why you like or dislike something. You are very, very good at that. So even if it's like a tiny candle, I want to kind of pass the torch over to you a little bit because honestly, you're gonna, if you stick at it, you're gonna be one of the better guys to do it by a lot, in my opinion. So yeah, man, big ups to you, man.
Yeah, for sure. Where can the people, I guess, find you at?
Chazza _McQueen on socials, or Chazza on YouTube. Fucking Skinny Legends, Medium Legends, Mr. Limbs, Mr. What's the wacky inflatable things outside the car dealership? That's me. That's me. Yeah. Shout out to your mum as well. She's beautiful. I love you.
Oh, Ruu S Room. I'm in Ruu, the Culture Black Kid. Shout out to Chazza. All right, I'll catch you next time. Peace.